Assassin's Creed Black Flag is reportedly getting a massive shadow drop that has the entire fanbase completely torn apart. Now, ever since the disappointment of Skull and Bones and the drama surrounding the launch of Assassin's Creed Shadows last year, Ubisoft has been kind of on the ropes. They've been looking for that one massive win to bring the fans back, and it looks like they might have just found their smoking gun. Now, we aren't just talking about a simple remaster here. We are talking about a full-blown remake of what is arguably the best pirate game ever made, potentially dropping way sooner than anyone expected. We are talking about Assassin's Creed Black Flag, or as the leaks are calling it, Black Flag Resynced. But instead of universal hype, this news has actually split the community right down the middle. Half the fans are screaming that this is the saving grace Ubisoft needs, a match made in heaven, while the other half is terrified this could be a total disaster that ruins a classic. We're going to dive into all the evidence, the leaks, and why this shadow drop rumor is causing such a meltdown. So, you're probably wondering, where is all this smoke coming from? Why is everyone suddenly convinced that Black Flag is dropping, like, right now? And this is actually coming from multiple sources that all decided to catch fire at the exact same time. First off, you have the Steam database. Now, usually when a game is dead and buried, it doesn't get updates. But Black Flag, it just got a massive update on the back end. We're talking about a 246 megabyte update to the public branch. Now, for a game that came out in 2013, that is significant. You don't just push a file that size for bug fixes on a decade-old game, unless you are prepping for something huge. And with that being said, it's not just the Steam backend, it's the music. Now, this is where you have to put your tinfoil hat on for a second. Over on the official Ubisoft music channel, they suddenly re-uploaded 18 sea shanties from Black Flag. Boom, just like that. Now, Ubisoft came out and claimed it was just a technical issue, but come on, you know what they say. Usually whenever there's smoke, there's fire. You don't just accidentally re-upload the soundtrack to your most demanded remake right in the middle of leak season unless you were trying to prime the algorithm. It feels calculated. It feels like they are getting ready to push the button. And honestly, it lines up perfectly with the reports we've been hearing from insiders like Tom Henderson and Insider Gaming, who have been saying for months that Ubisoft has an unannounced title scheduled for release before the end of their fiscal year this March. So, if you connect the dots, we have a secret game due in the next 2 months, we have the Steam page getting updated, we have the soundtrack popping up, and we even have a registered domain name that leaked called Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced. That right there is the smoking gun. Resynced implies more than just a fresh coat of paint. It implies a reworking, a remix, maybe even a change in how the game plays. And this is where the fanbase starts to split. Now, on one side, you have the people who are absolutely hyped, and I get it. I'm a firm believer that Black Flag is the peak of the franchise. You have Edward Kenway, who is just incredibly charismatic. You have the naval combat that literally defined a generation of gaming. And you have that sense of freedom that the newer RPG creeds just kind of lost. So for these fans, a shadow drop, like a surprise release at an Xbox Direct or a PlayStation State of Play, would be the ultimate mic drop. It's that Death Stranding treatment where they announce it and say you can play it right now. It would instantly kill all the negativity surrounding the company. It would be a massive win. It's like finally, they're giving us what we actually want, instead of another live service failure like Skull and Bones. But then you have the other side of the coin, and honestly, their fears are valid. This is where the total disaster talk comes in. Because let's be real, this is modern Ubisoft we are talking about. The fear is that Resynced means they're going to shove all the RPG mechanics from Valhalla and Odyssey into Black Flag. Imagine trying to board a ship, but the enemy captain has a massive health bar over his head, and you can't kill him because your hidden blade is level 5 and he's level 50. That would fundamentally break the game. Black Flag was an action-adventure game, not an RPG. It was about skill, about counters, about flow. If they mess with that core loop just to sell us XP boosters or time saver packs, it's going to be a riot. And on top of that, there are rumors swirling around that they're cutting the modern-day content. Now, I know some of you hated the Abstergo office sections where you walked around with an iPad hacking computers. I get it, it slowed the pacing down. But for the lore nerds, that stuff was crucial. It tied Edward's story into the bigger picture. If they cut that, are they rewriting the story? Are they changing the ending? It's a slippery slope. And with that being said, a shadow drop is risky. Usually you want to market a game for months to build hype. If they just drop it with zero warning, it screams, "We need cash fast." It feels like a desperation move because their stock is struggling and they need to pad their Q4 earnings report. And when a company rushes a game out the door just to please shareholders, that is usually when you get a buggy, broken mess. Remember Assassin's Creed Unity? Yeah, nobody wants a repeat of that. Now, let's talk about the visuals and the engine, because this is what has me most excited. The rumor is that this remake is running on the Anvil Engine, the same one they used for Assassin's Creed Shadows. So we're talking about ray-traced global illumination. We're talking about water physics that will probably look better than real life. And we're talking about 60 FPS on the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. Now, if you're a console player, you've been stuck playing Black Flag at 30 FPS and 1080p for over a decade. The idea of sailing the Jackdaw in 4K at a buttery smooth 60 FPS, that is the dream. That is the match made in heaven part of this scenario. But, and this is a big but, there is the question of Skull and Bones. It is literally the elephant in the room. Ubisoft spent a decade making a pirate game that was supposed to be the spiritual successor to Black Flag. Well, it flopped hard. So now they're pivoting back to the original. It's almost ironic. It's like admitting defeat. They're basically saying, okay, we couldn't make a better pirate game, so here is the old one again. And while I'm happy to get the remake, it does make you wonder about the state of innovation over there. Are they just banking on nostalgia now? Is that the strategy? Because if this remake is just a lazy port with better textures, the fans are going to tear it apart. We need real improvements. I'm talking about seamless boarding without loading screens. I'm talking about deeper customization for the Jackdaw. I'm talking about maybe even adding the cut content that didn't make it into the 2013 original. Now, reports are also suggesting that the voice actor for Edward Kenway, Matt Ryan, has been dropping hints at conventions. He reportedly told a fan that they might have to beat the game again very soon. Now, actors are usually under strict NDAs, so for him to be that loose with his words, it tells me that the reveal is imminent. He knows it's coming, and if the talent is excited, that's usually a good sign. It suggests that they brought him back to maybe record new lines or do new motion capture, which would confirm that this is a full remake and not just a remaster. So, the big question remains, is a shadow drop the right move? In my opinion, it's a high-risk, high-reward play. If the game is polished, if it runs at 60 FPS, and if it respects the original combat without forcing RPG bloat on us, then a shadow drop would be legendary. It would dominate the news cycle. Everyone would be playing it. It would hold us over until Assassin's Creed Hex finally gets revealed, or until the next major Shadows DLC drops. It fills that content gap perfectly. But if it drops and it's full of microtransactions, or if the performance is bad, it will be the nail in the coffin for fan trust. The community is already on edge. They're skeptical. They've been burned too many times. And honestly, I think that's why the fans are so split. It's not that we don't want the game. We all want Black Flag Remake. We want it more than anything. But we are terrified of the monkey paw. We are scared that we are going to get it, but it's going to be Ubisoftized in the worst way possible. We want the nostalgia, but we don't want the baggage that comes with modern gaming. So, with that being said, we are likely going to find out the truth very, very soon. If the insiders are right about the March deadline, then an announcement has to happen in the next few weeks. Maybe at an Xbox event, maybe just a random Twitter post. But one thing is for sure, Edward Kenway is coming back. Whether he returns in glory or sinks the ship depends entirely on execution. But that's going to wrap it up for this video, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments section. Are you team hype, praying for that shadow drop? Or are you team skeptic, worried they're going to ruin a masterpiece? Do you think they should cut the modern day stuff, or is that essential to the lore? Let me know down below. Like the video, subscribe if you know what he's on, and until next time, this has been Tozo, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.